Okay. God bless you all. My name is Jeremy Howard. Some people know me as Artist J Howard. So real quick, the mission God had me on is a Black Exodus. I don't know if anyone is familiar with this mission, but we started this mission to, exactly what it sounds like, remove Black Americans from America and relocate them to a different region, all together for a cause to build a foundation for Black people, run by Black people. I'm doing this more so for the youth, but also for the elderly, orphans. It's up to Black men to save themselves. And I feel like if I don't do it, then I'm guilty as the same as the next man that knows what's right and what should be done. So this mission that God has me on, once again, it's called the Black Exodus. And if you're a leader, if you're in the Black community, I would like for you to join our cause and join our mission, because we have a lot of civil rights issues in this country. Our kids are joining gangs. Gangs were really started to protect the community. Gangs have transformed into just complete violence. But I feel like those same gang members, those same teens, and even the older members of the gangs can come together and protect the community once again, because we all have the same mission as Black Americans. We have to save ourselves. It's not up to any other people to save us. It's up to us. We have to realize that it's our legacy, and we can't worry about another race and how they're going to dictate how we live and where we live. In America, we're dealing with the same, basically, slave masters that have metamorphosis, or they have transitioned to a different statue, if you want to say. They have transitioned from being the slave master to the ones that are actually making the laws, which puts us in a negative standing in this nation, period. There's no way for us to build on their backs. We have to build in a land owned by us, and also in a land where we can make our own laws, and we're going to make them just for all the people that are in the land. So what I would need from Black leaders, Black organizers, Black stars, rappers, singers, actors, actresses, is to join the cause, Black Exodus. I'm calling it Black Exodus 2019. I feel like with the upcoming elections in 2020, I really don't want to be around for that. When it comes to politics and politicians and that whole thing, I really don't want any part of it, because it's not just. It's not made for us. It's never going to be on our side. And so we as a people have to make a stand and say, this is it. We're going to stand for us, and we're going to make a difference for us. We're going to have land for us. We're going to be the leaders in our land. We're going to make the laws for us. And what will happen is we'll have a generation that knows who they are post-slavery. I don't mean going to school like my kids and learning about slavery and the things that they don't want to tell them in the schools. They don't want to go into who we were before slavery. They'll never learn about those things if we don't teach them. We need a setting where we can teach our kids who we are, when we were kings, when we were queens, and when we had princesses and princesses. This is a true life fact. We were not just always slaves, and it's time for us to get back to the point where we can teach our children who they are without having to worry about getting shot or kidnapped, or someone offering them drugs in the street, and then they're 15, 16 years old, strung out already. We need a better environment for our people. So that being said, we're gonna put a link down below. Me and my wife are starting a YouTube channel. It's called Truth Talk with Toya and Jeremy. Truth Talk with Jeremy and Toya. We're going back and forth about that. She's probably gonna make me say Toya first, but that's okay. Happy wife, happy life, right? So we are gonna put the link down below, the contact information down below. I know this is not an easy thing. It is, like I said, a mission that God has me on that I backed away from because it's so bold. It takes a bold person to actually say something like this and just put themselves out there like this for something like this. But I feel like it's necessary in these days. I have 3 younger sons, and I don't want them being belittled or shot by a cop, or even shot by another black man for that matter. I don't want them to have to go through the things that I went through growing up in America. I want them to be in a land where they're free, and if they do have to go through a system that is going to determine their future, it won't be biased. It will be a just situation. Every nation, whether you're talking about China, Russia, Korea, any of these people, they're for self-preservation, and eventually we have to decide what do we want our legacy to be. What will be our final legacy? Will our legacy be they were kings and they were queens and then they were enslaved and then they died off in America? That can't be the end of our legacy. Our legacy has to be beginning as kings and queens and ending as kings and queens, which we can't accomplish in this land. I feel that the black community in whole has far more money than necessary to accomplish this goal. If we set our mind to doing something as black people, we can achieve it. Look at all the scientists and all the innovations that they have achieved. Look at all the actors and the athletes. I mean, we are trend starters. The trends come from us because we are creative. All the artists and all the singers. I mean, we have such God-given talent that there's no way that our legacy can end like this. It can't end like this. We are too great of a people to end up in a negative state when it's all said and done. It has to be a time that we say enough is enough, and we build ourselves up and we take control of our own lives rather than going to a voting box and pressing yes or no, and the yes and the no is against us. So eventually, if you don't want to join this cause, you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? What's the purpose of us being in this country? What are we going to do? I don't care if you're driving a Maybach. I don't care if you have a $500 million house living in America. You still are treated the same and looked at the same. You will never be equal because this is not an equally dispersed, how do I want to say it? It's not an equally dispersed legal system. It's not an equally dispersed community system. If you're going to look for a job and you put a certain zip code down, you're going to be discriminated against. That's just a simple fact. You're going out for mortgages and all these things. It's so many things. There's so many ways that this society is twisted to put us underneath in class, underneath in wealth. What about black wealth? What is black wealth? What about when we accumulated wealth and we started the Black Wall Street? It was all burned down because you can't build somewhere where you're not supposed to be. So to make a long story short, I don't want to be before you all day, but I just want to emphasize you all to join the cause, and I just want to put myself out there. Like I said, it's a hard thing to do, but I feel like if I don't do this thing, if it's not started, then what can I do? Can I wait on another man to start it, or can I wait for another person to do something that God's calling me to do? To know what is right and to not do it, that's shameful. So what type of man am I? What am I going to do with my life, knowing that I feel this in my heart? And what am I going to be fearful to not fulfill a mission like that? knowing that I can save countless lives, and knowing that I can participate in building a union of black people coming together and building a kingdom that will never, it's a never ending kingdom, because it is already a thing that was, and slavery happened and it put an end to what we had going on, but we can rebuild. And I strongly feel that when we start to rebuild, other people will join in, and other nations will recognize us for the kings that we are, and we will have good relations in trade, good relations in technology, and all the different inventions and things that we come up with, athletic programs. We in ourselves are our own powerhouse. And when we organize and put things into play, there will be no stopping us. This is not a militant movement. This is not a down with the other race, or being racist and saying, we don't like a certain race. No, what I'm saying is it's time for us to recognize who we are, that we were kings, and we are still kings, and we're going to die as kings. We're not going to die off being someone's pawn for the rest of our life, because that won't be the end of our legacy. So to make a long story short, like I said, links down below. I thank you all for your time. If you are Black American, so please share and share with your friends, and
subscribe to the channel.
Oh, sorry, my wife said subscribe to the channel. So once again, I'm gonna throw that in there again. Truth Talk with Jeremy and Toya. We're gonna be live. Let's see. We discuss once a week. Depending on the feedback we get, it may be more. We're going to continue to post videos. We're going to talk about things like civil rights, what it means to be a minority, gangs, black wealth, and what we need to do to organize and get the ball rolling, what we need financially, what we need from. It's a beautiful thing, because I think that in all actuality, when the ball really gets to rolling, I feel like other nations and other countries are going to say, look, these guys are, it's just like a business. If you go to get a business loan and you have no money, most likely a bank is not going to give you a loan. But if you're invested in the thing, people feel more comfortable with actually helping you. If you're helping yourself, people feel comfortable helping you. So like I said, and things like civil rights, I just want to touch on that just really, really quickly, because there are a lot of things happening in America that they're classifying under civil rights. And this is why I want you all to subscribe to our channel, because I'm just going to give you a little brief quote. I don't know, not a brief quote, a brief, what's the word I want to say? A brief understanding of what I know concerning civil rights. Okay, so a man is brutally beaten by the police and he ends up dying, okay? And here comes the whole civil rights movement, and now the officers that are guilty are on trial, and push comes to shove, at the end of the day, they get off. And the whole community is just, distraught at what happened in the whole situation, and wondering why did not these officers either go to jail or lose their job. They were on paid leave the whole time. Okay, let me explain something to you. First, in the court of law system, if you're considering saying the word civil, if the word civil is used in a court system, the word civil automatically means, in law, that the person that you're going against, if you are the civil, if you're the person that is basically trying to either sue or trying to rectify the situation in the court system, if it is classified under civil, you're basically telling the judge and jury that no one has broken a law. Because in civil, it's a dispute concerning no one breaking the law. If you don't believe me, look it up. If it's concerning civil, you're telling the court system that there was no laws being broken. So if you see these not even officers, because it doesn't have to be an officer, because there are some good cops. Actually, I know a lot of good cops. But for a bad cop to do a bad thing and walk, the reason why is they're going about it the wrong way. You have to know the legal system, and we can't keep going back to this civil thing. Civil, if it's a civil lawsuit, it's a reason why they're not going to jail. They're not going to jail and they're not getting fired because you're saying no one broke the law. According to the law book, every word in the court system has a meaning. And when you get in the court system and you start to speak civil, I'm telling you, look it up in a law book, not a regular dictionary. Look it up in a law dictionary. 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose a case because you're saying the person did not commit a crime. And that's why I want you all to subscribe to our channel, because we're going to go in depth and we're going to use knowledge, understanding, and wisdom from God. We're going to figure this thing out. We're going to get organized. Like I said, it's not a militant movement. This is a movement of wisdom, understanding, and we're going to get together and we're going to finish this race really well. So hit the subscribe button. Hope to see you soon.